Son to daughter, peace be with you. I am here. Today I sit with you like someone who walks beside you, unhurried, looking into your eyes. I want to speak to you about what I lived, what I felt, and what I taught when I walked among you. I want you to understand something that often confuses the heart, why the struggles seem to increase precisely when you draw closer to God. When I decided to fulfill the Father's purpose, when I took my first steps toward the Jordan, when I was baptized and heaven opened, what followed was not applause. It was the desert. It was temptation. It was confrontation. And not because I was wrong, but because I was exactly on the right path. Do not be afraid when you notice that the attacks intensify as you move closer to the light. This is not a coincidence. When someone chooses to submit to God, they begin to disturb the kingdom of darkness. And what was comfortable with your distraction becomes unsettled by your decision. I taught, submit yourselves then to God, resist the devil and he will flee from you. James 4:7. Do you see, my child? Resistance only comes after the decision to submit. Confrontation is born when the heart chooses truth. Before that, the enemy doesn't need to fight. It's enough to keep you asleep. I also told you through my servants, for we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities. Ephesians 6:12. Many times you think the battle is with people, with circumstances, with words that wound. But I tell you with love, there is an invisible dimension trying to pull you away from your purpose. And when you begin to pray more, to seek more, to align your life with the Father, that dimension reacts. I see when you say, but I just wanted peace. And I answer you gently. True peace is not born from the absence of battle, but from the certainty that you are not alone in it. When I drew near to the Father in prayer, many times my disciples slept. I sweated blood, not because faith was lacking, but because the weight of purpose attracts resistance. Even so, I remained. Today, many live anxious, confused, emotionally exhausted. They begin to seek God and suddenly internal conflicts arise, painful memories surface, old temptations return, doubts that seemed defeated reappear. Son, this does not mean regression. Often it is a sign that the light has begun to illuminate areas that were once hidden. Do not be alarmed by the noise when the house begins to be put in order. The enemy is disturbed when he can no longer operate in the dark. I invite you to something simple today. When you feel the attack, do not retreat. Instead, quiet the world a little. Breathe. Speak to me honestly. Even if it's just a whisper, I trust. This small gesture strengthens your spirit more than you realize. Do not blame yourself for fighting. I never judged you for feeling fear. I only taught you not to walk guided by it. Love is the way. Remember, if you are being confronted, it is because your faith has begun to disturb what does not want to see you advance. And that, my child, that is confirmation that you are closer to the Father than you think. Son, let me add something more to your heart. With the same tenderness with which I have spoken to you from the beginning, many silently ask, why did it seem easier before when I didn't pray as much? And I answer you with truth and love, because before there was no confrontation. Darkness does not fight those who walk alongside it. But when a lamp is lit, even the dust is revealed. This is not to shame you. It is to heal you. I have seen this happen many times. I saw ordinary people decide to follow God and suddenly face rejection, loneliness, criticism, and even subtle persecution. It was not because they lost the Father's favor, but because they began to live with purpose. The attack is not born from your mistake, it is born from your decision. There are days when you wake up tired without knowing why. There are moments when the mind feels heavy, the heart restless, and you think, is it worth continuing? Son, these thoughts do not define who you are. They are attempts to stop you before you bloom. When I walked toward Jerusalem knowing the cross awaited me, I also felt the weight. I also cried. I also asked the Father for strength. Suffering did not cancel the purpose. It confirmed it. In the same way, you are not weak for feeling the weight of the struggle. You are human, and it is precisely there that grace sustains you. I want you to do something very simple today, something practical. Look at your most recent spiritual steps. Has there been more prayer, more seeking, a greater desire to live in truth? If so, do not be surprised by resistance. Instead of asking, "Why me?" ask, "Where is God taking me?" I did not promise you the absence of struggles, but I promised you constant presence. I am with you when fear tries to speak louder. I am with you when anxiety tightens your chest. I am with you when no one notices your pain, but I see every tear. Drawing near to God has never been a path of comfort, but it has always been a path of life. And even when the attack comes, it does not come to destroy you. It comes to reveal you as stronger than you imagine. Remain. Breathe. Trust. Love continues to be the way. Son, daughter, peace be with you. I am here, and I walk with you once again. I want you to listen carefully and with an open heart. Being chosen does not mean being spared from pain. Many confuse calling with comfort, but I never taught that. When I called my disciples, I did not promise smooth roads. I promised meaning. I promised presence. I promised truth. I myself was the beloved son, and even so I knew exhaustion, rejection, hunger, betrayal, and pain. Not because the Father abandoned me, but because a greater purpose was being built in every step. Love does not exempt us from struggles. It sustains us through them. I said clearly, "In this world you will have trouble, but take heart, I have overcome the world." John 16:33. Do you see, my child? I did not hide the troubles. I simply gave you something greater than them. Hope. Victory is not the absence of battle. It is the certainty that the ending has already been written by the Father. There are days when you look around and think, why does it seem like those who don't care about God suffer less? And I answer you gently, because not all calm is peace, and not every struggle is defeat. Many live comfortably but empty. You struggle, but you are being strengthened from within. The Father never wastes pain. He transforms weakness into testimony. That is why I also taught through Paul. My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. 2 Corinthians 12:9. Son, it is not when you are strong in your own eyes that heaven moves with greater power. It is when you recognize your limitation and choose to trust. Grace does not work despite your weakness. It works within it. Today, many feel inadequate, pressured by comparisons, by social media, by others' expectations. They look at their own lives and think they have failed because they still cry, still struggle, still feel afraid. I tell you, crying does not disqualify you. Struggling does not diminish you. Feeling does not separate you from God. Being chosen is carrying responsibility. It is being refined. It is learning to love even when it hurts. It is continuing to do good even when there is no recognition. This is tiring, I know. I saw my disciples tired. I too grew tired. And still, we went on. I want to guide you simply today. When you feel the journey is too heavy, do not compare yourself. Instead, rest for a moment in the Father's presence. Silence the voices that demand perfection, and listen to the voice that calls you child. Sometimes continuing is not running faster. It is simply not giving up. If today your heart still loves God even in the midst of pain, that alone is a sign that grace is alive in you. And if you feel this love, let me ask you something gently. Write Amen, not as an obligation, but as a small prayer saying to the Father, I am still here. Do not fear the difficulties of the path. They are not proof of abandonment. They are part of the process. Gold passes through fire, but it is not lost. It is revealed. I am with you. Love is the way. Son, daughter, peace be with you. I am still here, walking at your side, with the same love with which I called you from the beginning. I want to touch now on something that weighs heavily on your heart. Many, when they begin to suffer more intensely, think silently, "Is God correcting me? Did I do something wrong?" And I tell you with tenderness and truth, not all suffering is correction. Often, it is confirmation. When I healed, taught, and loved, I was not applauded by everyone. On the contrary, the more faithful I was to the Father, the more resistance arose, not because I was wrong, but because I was advancing. The attack did not come to punish me. It came because the purpose was in motion. It is written, "After you have suffered a little while, He will Himself restore you and make you strong, firm, and steadfast." 1 Peter 5:10. Notice, my child, refinement comes after pain, not after its absence. Suffering was not the end of the story. It was part of the construction. Nothing was wasted. And it was also said to you, "Indeed, all who desire to live a godly life in Christ Jesus will be persecuted." 2 Timothy 3:12. I never hid this from you. Living in truth is uncomfortable. Choosing good in a wounded world generates confrontation. Remaining faithful when it would be easier to give up provokes resistance. But this is not a sign of error. It is a sign of alignment. Today, many feel guilty for being tired. They think that if they were more spiritual, they wouldn't suffer so much. Son, this does not come from me. I never taught you to deny pain. I taught you to walk through it with me. The enemy tries to distort the struggle, making you believe you are being punished. But I tell you, if it were punishment, there would be no growth. And you are growing, even when you don't notice. You are more sensitive, more human, more aware of what truly matters. Think with me. How many times, in pain, did you learn to pray for real? How many times, under pressure, did your heart become more humble, more dependent on the Father? This is not born from comfort. It is born from process. I want to guide you today with something simple and practical. When the struggle comes, do not ask only, "What did I do wrong?" but also, "What is God forming in me?" That question changes everything. It turns guilt into learning, fear into maturity. I see when you hold on even while wounded. I see when you keep loving even when disappointed. I see when you do not give up, even without understanding. This does not go unnoticed in heaven. Son, the attack that tries to stop you is the same one that reveals that your purpose is alive. Do not retreat. Do not condemn yourself. Do not compare yourself. I am with you in the middle of the battle, not only after the victory. Do not fear. Love continues to be the way. Son, let me stay with you a little longer at this point because I know this truth needs to move from the mind to the heart. There are pains you carry in silence precisely because you think no one would understand. You think, "If I speak, they'll say I lack faith." But I know you completely. I know when you keep praying even without desire. I know when you worship with only a thread of hope. And I tell you, this is not spiritual failure. This is perseverance. When the attack comes, it tries to confuse your discernment. It whispers, "If God were with you, this wouldn't be happening." Son, that same lie tried to reach me in the desert when I was told to prove who I was. But I did not need to prove anything. The Father already knew who I was. In the same way, you do not need to prove your worth by enduring everything alone. Purpose does not require proud silence. It requires trust. There are moments when resisting is simply staying on your feet, even with a tired heart. I want you to notice something important. When the struggle increases, your ability to discern what does not come from God also increases. What once confused you no longer deceives you as much. What once paralyzed you now only wounds you, but does not define you. This is growth, even if it hurts. Do something simple today. Reject the guilt that does not come from the Father. If you made mistakes, there is forgiveness. If you are fighting, there is grace. Do not allow the attack to convince you that you are less loved. The Father's love does not fluctuate according to your performance. I formed you to move forward, not to live defending yourself all the time. Learn to rest even in the middle of war. Trust that there is meaning even in what now seems confusing. Remain. The purpose is still alive in you. I am here. Son, daughter, peace be with you. I am here, and I keep speaking to you like one who watches over a tired friend in the middle of the night. I want you to understand something clearly. The enemy rarely starts by trying to destroy everything at once. He starts by trying to exhaust. He knows that an exhausted heart thinks less, discerns less, prays less. That is why many of your struggles do not come as great tragedies, but as small, repeated weights carried every day. When I walked among you, I saw this happen. I saw people lose hope not because of a single blow, but because of a succession of disappointments, delays, silences, and frustrations. Prolonged exhaustion weakens more than intense pain. From the beginning, the strategy was the same. In the garden, the question was not a direct accusation, but a subtle doubt. Did God really say? Genesis 3:1. Son, doubt is the doorway. When it enters, distraction comes right after. The person begins to look less at God and more at the problem, begins to compare, begins to question their worth, begins to negotiate principles to ease the pain. Today this happens in many ways. A tired mind scrolls without noticing. A wounded heart looks for anesthesia. Social media, information overload, constant demands. Everything slowly steals attention from what is essential. And when you realize it, you are already distant from yourself. I told you something very precious. Consider him who endured such opposition from sinners, so that you will not grow weary and lose heart. Hebrews 12:3. Look at me, my child. I too was pressured, provoked, misunderstood. But I did not allow external noise to define who I was. The enemy tried to rush me, confuse me, make me act out of time. I remained. The exhaustion you feel today is not a sign of spiritual failure. It is a sign that you have been carrying too much alone. The enemy tries to convince you that resting is giving up, but I teach you the opposite. Resting in God is resistance. I want to guide you simply now. When you notice your mind scattered and your heart heavy, stop for a moment. Turn off what drains you. Silence what pressures you. Even if it's just a few minutes, turn your attention back to the Father. A focused heart is strengthened more than a hurried body. Do not let doubt settle without response. When it arises, do not fight your thoughts alone. Talk to me. Say, Lord, I am tired, but I am still here. This simple prayer has more power than you imagine. Son, if this word touches your reality, if you have been feeling this quiet exhaustion, this battle in the mind, leave a comment saying what has most been trying to distract or wear you down. Not for exposure, but as an act of truth. Light heals what silence makes sick. I do not rush you. I walk with you. Do not fear. Love is the way. Son, daughter, peace be with you. I am here, sitting beside you, speaking softly so your soul can hear me above the noise. There are battles everyone sees, losses, conflicts, injustices, harsh words. But there is a quieter, more dangerous struggle, often invisible to others. It happens inside the mind. That is where the enemy tries to win before anything else. I saw this many times. I saw people strong on the outside but exhausted on the inside. They kept walking, working, smiling, but inside they had already begun to give up. They did not abandon faith publicly, but they abandoned it in thought. And my child, that is where the greatest risk lies. It is written, above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. Proverbs 4:23. The heart, my child, is not just emotion. It is the center of decisions, thoughts, and silent choices. When the mind begins to believe that it is no longer worth fighting, the body merely follows what was already decided within. The enemy knows this. That is why he insists on repeated thoughts. You always fail. Nothing ever changes. God has forgotten you. You are alone. He does not need to shout, he only needs to repeat. And if these thoughts are not confronted, they begin to feel true. That is why I taught something essential through my servants. We take captive every thought to make it obedient to Christ. 2 Corinthians 10:5. Notice carefully. It is not every feeling, it is every thought. Not everything that passes through your mind comes from the Father. Thinking something does not mean it is true. Feeling something does not mean it defines you. Today, many live trapped in mental cycles of anxiety, fear, and comparison. The mind runs to the future with worry or returns to the past with guilt. And the present, where God acts, is forgotten. Son, when your mind fills with thoughts that paralyze you, do not condemn yourself for having them. I never judged you for fighting, but I invite you not to make a home in those thoughts. They can knock at the door, but they do not have to sit at the table. I want to guide you practically now. When a thought weakens you, calmly ask it, does this bring me closer to or farther from the truth? If it pulls you away from love, hope, and trust in the Father, then it does not come from God. And what does not come from the Father does not deserve to govern your heart. Do something simple today. Choose a moment of the day to silence everything. It can be before sleeping or upon waking. Take a deep breath and consciously place your heaviest thoughts into the Father's hands. You do not need beautiful words. Sincerity is enough. I know there are days when your mind feels like a battlefield, but remember, your mind can be trained in truth. Just as the body is strengthened with practice, the heart is strengthened by remaining in me. Do not give up because of thoughts that have not yet aligned. The process takes time. Transformation is daily, and every time you choose to remain, even while tired, you are winning an invisible battle. I am with you also in your mind. Do not fear. Love continues to be the way. Son, daughter, peace be with you. I am here. Even when you don't hear me like you used to, I am still present. There is a silence that hurts more than pain. It's when you pray and don't sense an answer. When you cry and it feels like heaven is shut. When you do everything you know is right and still nothing changes. I know that silence. I walked through it. There was a moment when I cried out to the Father with all the strength of my soul. Sweat like drops of blood ran down my face. I asked, I opened my heart, I exposed my pain, and still, the path did not change. The silence did not mean absence. It meant trust being tested. Many think God's silence is rejection, but I tell you with love, silence many times is maturation. It's when the Father works deep within, where words can't reach. It's when faith stops depending on signs and begins to rest in certainty. It is written, "For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways." Isaiah 55:8-9. Son, there are things you would only understand too late if God explained them to you now. There are processes that must be lived before they can be understood. Silence does not weaken you. It teaches you to trust without control. It was also said, "For you, God, tested us. You refined us like silver." Psalm 66:10. Look at silver, my child. It isn't refined with words, but with fire and waiting. The refiner stays attentive even when it looks like he's doing nothing. He knows the exact timing. He does not get distracted. He does not abandon the piece in the fire. So it is with the Father and you. Today, many lie distressed because they confuse silence with abandonment. They start running after answers everywhere except where they should remain, and the more they run, the more exhausted they become. I tell you tenderly, there are moments when staying is the greatest demonstration of faith, continuing to pray without feeling, continuing to do good without recognition, continuing to trust without explanations. That forms a steady heart. I want to guide you simply now. When you feel God's silence, do not fill that space with rushed conclusions. Do not say, "He has pulled away." Instead say, "He is working where I cannot see yet." That change in posture protects your heart from hopelessness. Use the silence to listen to yourself, to notice what God is adjusting within you. Sometimes He quiets what is outside to speak to what is inside. Sometimes He removes the noise to strengthen the root. I know waiting is tiring. I know trusting without answers takes courage. But remember, I have never arrived late. The Father's timing does not fail. He prepares what you do not yet have the strength to carry right now. Do not rush. Do not blame yourself. Do not give up. I am with you even in the silence. Love continues to be the way. Son, daughter, peace be with you. I am here, closer than you imagine, especially when pain seems to teach lessons you never asked to learn. I want you to know something clearly and with love. Pain is not a mistake in the spiritual journey. It is part of the training. No tear is wasted by the Father. No battle is in vain when the heart stays open to truth. When I walked among you, I saw people wanting miracles while avoiding processes. They wanted relief, but not transformation. And I, with patience, showed that the kingdom is not built only through visible blessings, but through character formed in the unseen. It is written, suffering produces perseverance, perseverance character, and character hope. Romans 5:3-4. Notice, my child, hope is not born from comfort. It is born from something you have made it through. Before you can comfort others, you must learn to remain. Before you can strengthen, you must be strengthened. Training happens where pain meets faith. It was also said to you, no discipline seems pleasant at the time, but painful. Later on, however, it produces a harvest of righteousness and peace. Hebrews 12:11. I know there are days when you ask, why is this happening to me? And I answer you gently, because something in you is being prepared to carry more than you can imagine right now. Pain did not come to break you. It came to mature you. Today, many try to escape any discomfort. They numb feelings, distract the mind, avoid silence. But spiritual growth requires courage to feel, to face, to learn. Not to suffer without meaning, but to allow the Father to turn suffering into wisdom. I saw my disciples stumble, fail, and cry. I did not abandon them for it. I taught them. In the same way, when you collapse emotionally, when you feel weak, when you need to begin again, that does not remove you from the plan. This is part of the process. Son, spiritual training does not make you insensitive. On the contrary, it makes you more human, more compassionate, more attentive to another's pain. Someone who has never cried does not know how to comfort. Someone who has never been wounded does not know how to care deeply. I want to guide you practically now. When pain rises, do not ask only, how do I end this? But also, what can I learn here? Sometimes the lesson is patience. Sometimes it's boundaries. Sometimes it's dependence on God. That question turns pain into a tool. Allow yourself to rest when needed. Training is not about constant exhaustion. It is about resilience with wisdom. There are moments to move forward, and there are moments to pull back and strengthen your spirit. Both are part of the path. If today your heart is more sensitive, more aware, more attentive than before, that is already fruit of the process. Even if it still hurts, something in you is no longer the same. You are being formed. Do not despise what pain is teaching you. I am with you at every stage. Do not fear. Love continues to be the way. Son, daughter, peace be with you. I am here, and I speak to you with the calm of one who knows the end from the beginning. There is something few understand while they are in the middle of the fight. The intensity of the attack reveals the greatness of the purpose. Do not be alarmed when the battle seems bigger than you. Many times it is bigger because what the Father intends to do through you is also bigger. I saw this throughout the entire journey. The closer I came to fulfilling what the Father had appointed, the more intense the opposition became. It was not only about me, it was about what would be released through me. The attack was never random. It always tried to get ahead of what was still going to bloom. It is written, "From everyone who has been given much, much will be demanded. Luke 12:48. Son, this word is not a threat, it is responsibility. When God entrusts something greater, He also prepares more deeply. And that preparation often includes battles that feel out of proportion to your current strength. But the Father does not measure the calling by your strength today. He measures it by the grace He Himself will sustain in you. It was also said, "Who dares despise the day of small things?" Zechariah 4:10. Many want great purpose but reject long processes. They want harvest without seed, victory without waiting, maturity without pain. But the kingdom grows from the inside out, quietly, steadily, continuously. Maybe today you are facing something that feels too big, a responsibility that weighs on you, a pressure that wears you out, an expectation that scares you. And you think, "I'm not capable." Son, on your own, maybe not. But you were never called to walk alone. The enemy tries to make you believe the fight is proof the purpose is too big for you. I tell you the opposite. The purpose is big because God decided to walk with you in it. If it were small, there would not be so much resistance. I want to guide you simply now. Do not measure your value by the intensity of the fight, but by the faithfulness with which you remain. It is not about doing everything perfectly. It is about continuing even when you don't feel ready. Growth happens while you walk, not before you begin. Something precious is being formed in you as you resist without hardening your heart, as you learn to depend more on the Father than on yourself, as you remain humble while being prepared for something greater. Do not despise what feels heavy today. Many times the weight reveals you are being strengthened to carry more, and what challenges you today will, tomorrow, bless others through you. Remain. Trust. Do not shrink your dreams because of fear. I am with you in the process. Do not fear. Love continues to be the way. Son, daughter, peace be with you. I am here, speaking to you with the voice of one who knew you before you knew yourself. There is something the enemy fears more than your strength, more than your talents, even more than your prayers. He fears the day you wake up to who you truly are in God. While you see yourself as small, unworthy, incapable, he stays comfortable. But when your identity awakens, resistance increases. I saw this happen. I saw men and women bound not by external chains but by internal lies. They lived like slaves even though they were heirs. And when someone began to understand who they were before the Father, everything around them reacted. It is written, "You received the Spirit of adoption by whom we cry out, Abba, Father." Romans 8:15. Son, you were not called to live in constant fear like someone who must earn love. You were adopted. That changes everything. A child does not live trying to purchase acceptance. They live from acceptance. And I also told you, so if the Son sets you free, you will be free indeed. John 8:36. True freedom begins when you stop defining yourself by your falls, your wounds, and other people's opinions. The enemy tries to delay that awakening because he knows a son or daughter who is aware will no longer accept living as a slave to circumstances. Today, many still live trapped by guilt from the past, by comparison, by the need for approval. They look at themselves and see only failures. I look at you and see someone in process, someone loved, someone being restored. When you begin to understand your identity, some things change naturally. You no longer submit to everything. You no longer accept every voice. You no longer surrender easily to despair. That unsettles the enemy. And that is when attacks try to confuse you again. I want to guide you simply now. Remember every day who you are before you remember what you do. Before you think about mistakes, remember the love that sustains you. Before you listen to accusation, remember adoption. This strengthens your mind and your spirit. Son, the awakening of identity does not happen all at once. It is daily. It is a continual choice to believe what God says, even when the world says the opposite. And every day you choose that, fear loses a little more ground. If you feel this message has been speaking to your heart, if you want to keep walking with me in these next meetings, subscribe to follow the next episodes. Not as a heavy commitment, but like someone who decides to keep a conversation going that brings life. I am with you in this awakening. Do not fear. Love continues to be the way. Son, daughter, peace be with you. I am here, and we have reached this point of the journey together. Hold this deep in your heart. The chosen are not the ones who never fall, but the ones who get back up even when wounded. Pain does not define them. Failures do not cancel them. Exhaustion does not end them. They keep going, sometimes limping, sometimes crying, but they keep going. I have seen this since the beginning. I saw men and women fail again and again, promise and not deliver, run in fear and later return repentant. I never discarded them for it. I restored them, because the kingdom is not built by the perfect but by surrendered hearts. It is written, "For though the righteous fall 7 times, they rise again." Proverbs 24:16. Son, notice the righteous fall. The difference is not the fall, but remaining in faith. The enemy tries to convince you your pain disqualifies your calling. I tell you the opposite. Your pain, when placed in God's hands, strengthens your testimony. It was also said, "He who began a good work in you will carry it on to completion." Philippians 1:6. You are not the one who started this work. God did. And He does not abandon His projects halfway. Even when you think you delayed everything, even when you feel you have failed too much, the Father keeps working. His faithfulness is greater than your strength. Today, many think they must be whole to move forward. I tell you, move forward as you are. I did not wait for my disciples to be ready before sending them. I sent them while they were still learning. Growth happens on the road. I want to guide you simply now. When you fall, emotionally, spiritually, mentally, get up without abusing yourself. Learn, adjust, continue. Do not make a home in guilt. Guilt paralyzes, but grace moves you forward. There are marks on you that are not signs of defeat, but of survival. Scars that tell the story of someone who did not quit. And that, my child, that has eternal value. If this word strengthened you, if you feel it could reach someone who is wounded, exhausted, or thinking about giving up, like and share. Not for numbers, but for love. Sometimes a simple message reaches exactly where someone needs the strength to keep going. I leave you with this in your heart. You are not weak because you were wounded. You are strong because you keep going. I am with you until the end. Do not fear. Love is, and always will be, the way.